through this pandemic. It's been 1 year. Everybody's gone through struggle throughout the pandemic. A lot of businesses, some of them are struggling, really struggling. And other businesses, how it's had its effects, I can't imagine to even emphasize on the effects that it's had on their businesses. Because throughout this year, the number one thing that people have had to adapt to is change. And change doesn't come easy to most people. Change, a lot of people, they're not ready for change. They're not, willing to adapt to change as well. And the real challenge here, and the reality is, everybody, no matter who you are, what business you're in, 2020, you will have had to adapt to change no matter what. And you have to get used to it, because moving into this year, 2021, everybody is going to be in for certain shocks as well, because 2021 is going to be the year where like tomorrow is the 12th. Tomorrow the pandemic ends. So one of the reasons why it's we're doing this today is to give that awareness, to make people aware of what they can do and how they can boost profitability in their businesses as well. So one of the things that you should look at doing and focusing heavily on is your marketing and your strategies. And to do that, you have to have cash flow. And the reality of any business is that cash is king. You have to be able to preserve the cash flow, to be able to focus on cash flow as well. And that's the reality of it. If you don't have any cash flow in the business, you're in a sense, you're not going to have much oxygen to breathe in. Because in a business, the cash flow is like having the oxygen, right? Let me give you a scenario. This is going to be a hypothetical scenario. But imagine now you're going through Mount Everest. You're climbing Mount Everest. And you're focusing on getting to the top. But you're not climatizing. Because every time you're doing mountain climbing or anything, you have to be able to climatize. That's the one thing that you have to be able to do. So while you're in Mount Everest, you have to climatize. So what you have to do is climatize. How do you climatize? Sorry, I'm just speaking. I'm trying to indicate to the. Yeah, that's it. Because we're trying to produce the show at the same time. So now and then, just bear with me, guys. So while you're in Mount Everest, you're trying to climatize. Imagine now you're trying to climatize, but then you're focusing on getting. What you have to do is climatize, but you're focusing on getting to the top. Whereas you shouldn't be doing that, because what you should be doing is focusing on breathing, because your breathing changes as the more you climb up a mountain, the different layers, and you have to condition yourself at the same time. So anybody who knows or who knows about mountain climbing, you'll know that you have to be able to once you get to a certain climate, you have to stay there for that day or two before or at least a couple of hours before you move on to the next journey, because you have to climatize. Same way in business, same way in the situations we're in right now, we're having to climatize in this volatile environment. The environment is very volatile. Sadly, a lot of businesses are not going to exist by the end of this year. That's what we're seeing. In terms of the financial forecasting, in terms of some of the analysts that I've spoken to as well, using my connections from the past, they're all saying that we're due a crash, and the crash has always been on the cards anyway. It's been inevitable that the crash is going to happen, and when that happens, even more drastic changes are going to take place as well. So nobody knows when it's going to happen, nobody knows how it's going to happen, but we have an idea that there is a crash happening. Now, what small business owners can do, what small businesses can do, is this is kind of whenever a situation like this occurs, whenever drastic changes like this happens, this is where a lot of opportunities arise for the small businesses as well at the same time, for small business owners. And what you can do is focus on tapping into those markets, especially if you're in the service industry. Now, if you're in the service industry, this is going to be ideal for you, because there's a lot of opportunity that you can tap into, and there's a few new markets opening up as well that kind of, they did exist, but they wasn't as big, and the new skill sets that are required for that are in play right now. That's one of the things that we've been doing in the last few months. We haven't had much time to do these shows, but we've been busy on working on the business side of things. So that's exactly what we've been doing. Now, we've had a few questions in terms of what small businesses can do, what people who are struggling during the pandemic, what they can do, and how they can boost their business. It all depends on what sort of sector you're in. If you're in the service space, of course, there's those things, and you always have to be innovative as well and come up with your solutions and who your ideal clients are, and those things, and tailor to their needs and requirements. And there's a few ways to do that as well. You have to be if you're in the consulting space, of course, that's a bit different as well. And you have to find your clients. Sometimes you have to be there, networking, and it's a bit difficult now because through the pandemic, even though we're networking through digital presence. So networking through digital presence is a bit different to when you're networking direct, and direct networking has its benefits. Digital does not have. So that's another thing that people have to get familiar with and get used to. So if you're in the product space, however, what you can do is look at, again, certain marketing strategies that are working for you, double down on that. Certain other, like, depending on what your products are. And I know a few business owners who have certain products, and what I would recommend for a few of them also, depending on your product as well, what you can do is look at serving a bigger audience. So think of moving into the supply chain side, because you have the wholesaler and you have the manufacturer. From the manufacturer, you have the wholesaler to the distributor, and then to the retailer. Now, if you're focusing on the retail, you should look at also being a distributor at the same time. Maybe that will solve some of your cash flow issues as well, if that's something that you're struggling with. Because if you can, and the other thing is, you're going to have some cash flow behind you if you're going to be a distributor as well. But what you can do is if they're not happy to have your products on there, there's a few techniques that you can use. And I'll try and speak to some of you personally that I know, and give you a few tips on that. And a few others have put some questions in, but that's one of the ways that I think is going to be beneficial for anybody who's in the product space. If you're in the product space, you should also look at not only the retail side of it. If you've got cash flow and you can do marketing, and you can spend on marketing, then go on direct retail. So on the direct retail, you have to be good at marketing, and your conversions have to be good as well. Because if you spend X amount on marketing and your conversions are not good, then you could also burn a lot of money, which then can cause you problems in the long run as well. So you can eat into your profits. But depending on if you want to build a brand, that's a good way to do it. And if you're in certain niches as well, it's always good to also look at other options. One of the options is being a distributor, and not just going direct to retail. So obviously have your retail side as well, but also be a distributor, and that way you'll get a lot of volume. Because at the end of the day, business, when it comes to a product cycle, it's all about volume. If you can move volumes, you're going to make money. If you can't move volumes, you're not going to see much money there. So you have to be able to move the volume required in order to make a huge amount of profit. And we did that back in 2010. So I talk from experience as well. So 2010, we were moving huge volumes, huge volume. We were moving like crates of goods that were coming in from Europe, you know. So, you know, I talk from experience as well. And it has its challenges as well, because when you're moving volume like that, you have to have your resources in place. You have to have, there's going to be a lot of moving parts, and you have to be able to regulate that as well. So everything has to be in a timely fashion, in a timely manner. You know, if you're saying the goods are going to arrive on this date, make sure that they're going on that date. You might have to have some extra resources in place as well to help you shift those goods as well. But the good thing is you can most likely have it on a pre-order basis. So that's the benefit of it. How to adapt to the change. Now, there are, depending on your business, depending on what sort of product or service that you're dealing with, everybody is going to have to adapt to the change. But one of the ways to do it is to have an open mind, look at your market, look at your competitors, see, you know, you have to have a strategy in place as well. That strategy, you're going to have to do some testing. That's the only way, because if you're in this phase that we're in right now, and you're in a product or service space which is very unique, and you're not willing to test a few things out, you're not willing to be open-minded, you're going to get crushed. And let me tell you, the market does not care. The market does not care whether you get crushed, whether you get burnt. It doesn't matter. So you have to let the market react to what your goods or service is, you know, and that's the only way you're going to find out. And that's the hard way. It's the tough way, but that's the reality of things. And when you're in business, you have to use your intuition to a next level, and that's how it is, you know. So hopefully that has been beneficial for the viewers. We didn't want to make this too long, and you know, we're gonna probably do a few more of these videos during the next few weeks. We will try to schedule in a workshop at some point. We've been doing a lot of workshops lately. We'll do a live workshop on here at some point as well, and then we'll show you, like, in terms of how our workshops, how we run them online as well. So hopefully that will be interactive for some of the viewers that have been watching us on here. But the workshops generally are private workshops that we hold. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys, and yeah, keep following and taking the beneficial knowledge that we share on here. Peace out.